What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a video. I hope everyone is doing well. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. We will be honoring all of those soldiers that fought and died. So I just wanted to mention that. My grandfather, believe it or not, lied about his age to get into World War II, to start fighting for the Army in World War II. I think he was 16 years old when he joined the Army. He was there at Pearl Harbor during the bombing. He fought in the Asia-Pacific War, doing the island hopping campaign during World War II. And I think he had 3 or 4 Purple Hearts from the Army for injuries sustained in combat. So pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that since tomorrow's Memorial Day here in the United States. I wanted to show you guys a couple of items that just arrived back from Collector Archive Services. As you guys know, I've told you before anyway, I don't think you've had a chance to see them yet, but these are a couple of early Spanish figures. We've got Luke in his X-Wing flight gear, and then we've got Han Solo, the first 12 smuggler outfit. Both of these are Spanish Pochs, so these are pre-merger. If you guys want to watch some more on these Spanish figures, go back and look at my channel. But Pock was the factory in Spain that did the early licensed figures for Kenner, or using Kenner parts, I should say. So they imported parts from Hong Kong, usually Hong Kong, and assembled and painted them in Spain. The Pock figures are very difficult to identify and authenticate. And as you guys know, I showed you, hold on one second. If you remember, I showed you guys this beautiful PBP Lando with the metallic Bespin blaster, and I was kind of whiny about it, but I complained about the format that AFA used for this label. They call it Kenner PBP, which makes 0 sense since PBP manufactured their own parts, assembled their own parts, and painted their own parts, and distributed their own figures in Spain. So Kenner had nothing to do with PBP, in my opinion. So in my opinion, this figure is not very well labeled, but it is what it is. I'm okay with it. When I pull it down and actually look at it again, oh man, what a beautiful figure. So the casing is gorgeous and all that, and we've talked about all this, but they call it Europe red brown skin. I don't know what they were doing with that label, but I wanted to show you these two because I was very, very thorough with the information that I sent to Collector Archive Services. These are 2 early Spanish Poch figures before they merged with PBP and started making their own figures. Again, they imported Hong Kong parts and then assembled and manufactured them there. They're known for poor sonic welds. They're known for very poor paint applications. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figures before we start talking about the labels. But this is a Poch Han Solo. And the Poch Han Solos are known for very loose heads. You can see how loose he is on there. And you can kind of get his head to come back. I don't want to be too rough with it, but his head kind of wobbles back and forth quite a bit. That's a characteristic that almost all of these Poch Han Solos are known for. I've never seen one without a loose head. I'm sure that's possible, but I've never seen one. The other distinguishing characteristics of the Poch Han Solo, I'm going to get him out of the way so we can focus on him. The distinguishing characteristics are the belt buckle is not all the way painted. The outline around the belt is not painted. And for those of you who need some comparison, this is my PBP Han Solo. So you can see how the belt is painted, including the outline around the belt, whereas the Poch is not. And so that is one of the characteristics. You can also see how much paler the hands are. Hopefully that's coming through. It may not be because it's kind of a sunny day out today, but the Poch Han Solo is known for very pale hands and a very pale chest. And you can see how much pinker this is. It may not be coming through that well, but there we go. This is a better angle. You can see how pink that hand is. And then look at how white that hand is. Hopefully that's coming through. But that's a super, super white hand right there relative to the pink of the PBP Han. So it may actually even be more noticeable in his trigger hand. But you can see how pink that hand is. right there versus how pale this hand is. So that's probably the better hand to look at. Hopefully that's coming through okay. So you can see, there we go. That's a great angle right there. It's hard because of the sunlight. It's just such a beautiful sunny day out. My family's out walking around enjoying the beautiful day, and what am I doing? I'm creating videos because this is the only time I can do it when my family's not around. I'm a terrible husband and father, but no, we're gonna be hanging outside later today. But while I had some time, I wanted to show you this comparison. So anyway, so that's the belt. We got the hands that are pale. The chest is much more pale. That comes through pretty well. The face is actually a little more pale on the PBP versus a darker pink for the Pock. The hair color is also a much lighter brown. And then the leg stance is the other noticeable difference. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I've already covered all this on my Instagram post, but you can see how much wider the leg stance is. In terms of the trademark, this is a Hong Kong date stamp, which is what Pocks are known for. So this is the large font Pock, and you can see how bubbly. You see how bubbly the legs are around the paint applications, and you see that the sprue mark in his crotch area. These are all telltale signs that you're dealing with a Spanish Poch figure. The paint tends to bubble like that, and that's why it's very difficult to find these in high-grade condition. This one's not that high-grade. It's a 70+. But for a Poch figure, a rare Spanish Poch figure, I mean, this is just an awesome figure. It's a very, very difficult figure to acquire. The blaster is basically a Kenner blaster. There's not much difference between them. It's just an early mold version 1 Kenner blaster that was found with the first 12s on the 12 backs and even on some of the early ESB cards. So it's just a standard Kenner blaster because it's using standard Kenner parts, Hong Kong parts. But those are the main differences, and this is my 85% grade UKG PBP. Now, I wanted to talk about the label. So you know that I was really ticked off with AFA about the label for this Lando. So what I did was I sent this to CAS, and I said, look, I've got a walkthrough video from the Spanish seller that goes into every single intricate detail of this figure. Here are the pages from Javier Ruy Lopez's PBP and Pock book. So I took pictures and then I printed the pages that covered this Pock figure. I included those with my submission, and I forwarded by Facebook the video walkthrough. So I gave them a ton of documentation. Whether it was necessary or not, I don't know. I just didn't want to take any chances because I didn't want to get labeled like this. And so I told them how I wanted it labeled if they were comfortable doing so. Collector Archive Services worked very closely with me to make sure that this label was correct because these are very, very rare figures and very difficult to authenticate. And so I wanted to make sure that it was absolutely perfect before they sent it back to me. And first try, they got it done right. This is an absolutely perfect label. This is how every Pock should be labeled, in my opinion. And to UKG's credit, they do label it correctly. They label it similar to this. Now, UKG, I don't know if they would actually specifically note the differences like this does, but anyway, CAS says Pock Star Wars Han Solo large head, 2-line GMFGI Hong Kong, which is what it is, pale hands and chest. So, and that's what this variant is known for, is for the pale chest and hands and a Hong Kong date stamp. And so they labeled it absolutely perfectly, and it came back with a 70+, which this one came back higher in terms of score. And the one I'm going to show you, the Luke, actually came back lower than I expected. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't really particularly care about the grades on these rare figures. It's just such a difficult figure to find. Some Pocks are easier to find than others, but this is one that's not easy to find. So again, I'm going to see if I can get it to focus. Come on. You know, it's crazy. I don't understand technology. I can never get things to focus when I want it to. But there we go. Okay, so this is the date stamp again. So you can see GMFGI 1977 Hong Kong, and you can see how bubbly the paint is. This is actually a pretty good paint job versus some others I've seen. The AT-AT driver is really known for having bubbly paint. It's crazy. It just bubbles like, it looks like, you know, an old house that needs to be repainted and sanded. But this one's not as bad, but you can see around here like all the bubbles on the paint. So Anyway, kudos to Collector Archive Services for correctly labeling this item. I don't think AFA would have done that. I've seen some AFA graded Pocks on eBay, and they just label them as Hong Kong Kenners. So I don't know what they're doing. Or, you know, occasionally they'll say Kenner PBP, but that's not what it is. Because these predate the merger with PBP. These are Pock factory figures, not PBP. But AFA just labels everything Kenner PBP, which is incorrect in my opinion. This one is a PBP, but it's not a Kenner PBP. It's just PBP. So it's a fine distinction that nobody really cares about except for me and people like blacked out Ewoks. You know, so some of you guys out there I know care about it. Most of you don't. But I think it's an important distinction that a lot of people don't take the time to properly label. That a lot of the grading companies don't properly label. So anyway, this is my Pock Luke X-Wing, and this is, hopefully that's coming through. But you can see how dark and pink his face is versus his hands. His hands are very, very pale. And that's what the Pock is known for. It's a Hong Kong date stamp again, but he's got super, and it's again more noticeable on his trigger hand, but you can see how pale the hand is. And, you know, it's also, you know, again, Pocks are known for poor paint applications. You can see how poorly applied the paint is around the hands and around the wrist area. And this is just a common thing, unfortunately, with Pocks. They're just known, you see how sloppy the paint is around here? Very sloppy paint applications. That's a very common Pock thing. Here is the date stamp on this one again. Let's see if I can get it to focus. It's just, it drives me crazy. I'm pressing the focus button and it won't focus for me. So I apologize. I'm doing my best here. Almost had it. We almost had it. Come on. I give up. But anyway, if you want, I'm going to put some photos of the figures at the end of, there he goes. It's sort of, it's far away, but hopefully that's coming through all right. But this is the FGI Hong Kong. But you can see how poorly applied the paint is everywhere, really, especially the legs and the hands. But overall, I mean, you know, the tricky thing with the Luke X-Wing Spanish figures is the emblems on the helmet. It's very, very hard to find clean emblems, and these are fairly clean. But anyway, he came back with a 70. Here's how it's labeled. Hong Kong, GMFGI, Pale Hands, Luke, Pock, Star Wars. So it's a perfect label again, and it came back with a 70. I thought it would come back higher than that. I thought it would get a 75 or even possibly an 80. But, you know, it's fairly loose limbs, which is common. And I guess they dinged for all the paint, sloppy paint. But, you know, it's fine. I'm fine with the score. But a beautiful figure, a very, very difficult figure to acquire. The Paleface PBP Luke is the PBP version. So his has pink hands and a pale face. The Pock has a pink face, pale hands. So it's just a weird kind of thing between the Pock and the PBP. But I'll take this one, man. This is awesome to have the Pock. I do not have the Paleface PBP Luke. Hopefully one day I'll get it, but I have not found one yet. So, but anyway, I thought you guys would like to take a look at that. I know that this is way more detail than most of you care about, but I just wanted to make sure to mention what a great job Collector Archive Services did working. You know, this is why I've been using them a lot lately, is because they will listen to me. They will listen to me when I'm requesting that they label something a certain way, because it's much more accurate than just calling them all Kenner PBP. That's just the least possible accurate label, in my opinion, whereas this is much more accurate. It allows for distinction between early pre-PBP Spanish figures by the Pock factory versus post-merger. The merger between Pock and PBP happened around 1982, I believe. I'm going on memory from the book. But those figures, you know, figures like these two came after. So these were assembled. The parts were manufactured. They were assembled and painted in Spain. Whereas the Pocks, they imported Hong Kong parts, which is why they have the Hong Kong date stamps. Or trademarks. So, but anyway, thank you again, and I rambled for a very long time. I did get notification that I am receiving a package from Collector Archive Services probably this week. It's going to be partial shipments from about 3 different orders. So it's going to be like 20 or 25 items. And I'm looking forward to it. It's everything from licensed figures to mint on cards to bootlegs to custom projects I put together. And so it'll be a lot of fun to unbox. And I'll promise to really take my time with the unboxing. And it'll be a long video, but you know, hopefully we'll have fun with it together. And I'm going to look at them live with you guys. You know, I'll wait to take a look at them with you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.